Hello everyone, I'm the Viking General, and this short video will help you picking your first faction in Total War Warhammer 3. The goal is to quickly go through all the faction's playstyles, so you'll be able to choose the faction that suits your playstyle the most. If you'd like to know more about one of these factions, there will be links to a bit more in-depth overview of each of the factions at the end of the video. Let's begin. On release there will be 7 playable factions, 8 if you have the pre-order bonus. Of these 8 factions, 3 of them will have 2 possible starting legendary lords, with Kislev having an unlockable third one. These are also the non-Chaos Aligned factions. Let's go through all the factions in order. First up, Kislev. Kislev is a decently well-rounded faction with a lot of strong hybrid units, decent cavalry, a strong artillery piece, and of course, bears. A large elemental bear, bear cavalry, and war sleds pulled by bears. On top of that, they will have access to 2 new lores of magic, the Lore of Tempest and the Lore of Ice. Both lores have some decent spell options, which add to the flexibility of their army. While Kislev definitely can play aggressive, this faction will suit players who like to be a bit defensive better. Next, Demons of Chaos. This faction can potentially get access to all the units from the other 4 Chaos factions. So, if you ever dreamed of Nurgle units holding down the line, while Teen's missile units bring fire and death, Khorne units wreaking havoc in melee, and Slanesh's cavalry ripping into the enemy missile troops, this is the faction for you. Customization is pretty much the name of the game with this faction. You'll be able to outfit your lord with different body parts, each with their own unique effects and benefits. By devoting glory to the Chaos Gods, you'll be able to unlock new body parts and new units. This faction can fit any playstyle, since you can tailor your army exactly to your own. Next, Grand Cathay. This faction is pretty much an Easter-styled Empire faction with some cool unique mechanics. Their units are divided into Yin units, which are missile units, and Yang units, which are melee units. If these units are close to each other, both units will get a buff, and this buff can be increased even further by a nearby lord or hero. This incentivizes a rigid battle formation, which generally suits a defensive playstyle. They also have access to the Lore of Yin and the Lore of Yang. As expected, the Lore of Yin will generally be more supportive for your missile units, while the Lore of Yang will be more supportive for your melee units. To top it all off, their legendary lords can literally turn themselves into dragons. Next, Ogre Kingdoms. While it may seem that this faction's go-to option is to charge headfirst into melee combat, that's not entirely the case. I found that the ogres have some surprisingly effective missile units as well, but most of their units are variations on the big thing that rushes its fat ass towards the enemy ranks and to send their units flying. So if you like bowling infantry, this is the faction for you. Ogres also have access to 3 lores of magic, the Lore of Beast, the Lore of Fire, and the new Lore of the Great Maw. The Lore of the Great Maw has some great spells that suit an ogre army. Next, the 4 Chaos factions. The 4 Chaos factions have a sort of rock, paper, scissors, and more scissor things going on. While any faction can beat another faction on the battlefield, some matchups are definitely more unfair than others. Teens has an easy time against Nurgle, Nurgle has the advantage over Khorne, Khorne can handle Slanesh pretty well, and Slanesh will have the upper hand against Tzeentch. Tzeentch units all have a barrier, which is a shield that will regenerate over time after not being damaged for a while. A lot of their units have strong ranged magical fire attacks, so their focus will be on skirmishing as much as possible, since in a straight up melee fight they are pretty weak. They also have some very strong magic capabilities. This faction is for you if you enjoy hit and run tactics. Nurgle units are really slow, but really tanky. It's a real struggle to catch enemies in melee, but when you do manage to catch them, you'll be able to grind them down. Also, with the new Lore of Nurgle, their magic can help with actually dealing damage or becoming even more of a damage sponge. Expect battles to take very long. This faction is for you if you enjoy a slow but very tanky and defensive faction. Khorne units are very strong in melee, but they have no access to any spellcasters. Their game plan is to march in and simply stab the enemy until it stops moving, then stab it some more to get their skull. Skull!
Screw also the screw.
This faction is for you if you just want to rush in and kill stuff. Slanesh units are mostly glass cannons, very fast and very high damage, but flimsy defense and health pools. Their cavalry are the fastest units in the entire game, bearing some flying units. However, their marauders are actually pretty decent units to build an anvil with. So this faction is for you if you enjoy a aggressive glass cannon playstyle with some decent good old hammer and anvil options. If you're not sure for your first campaign, I would recommend choosing either Kislev or Grand Cathay. Khorne and Slanesh are also decent options, but it might be a bit more difficult since they favor aggressive play. Demons of Chaos, Ogre Kingdoms, Nurgle and Tzeentch all have some mechanics and or situations that might be difficult to deal with for a first campaign. Now, if you want to know more about a specific faction, be sure to check out the links to that faction on the screen right now. Or if you want to check out all the factions, you can check out the playlist, which has all the videos in it. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I will be bringing out more Warhammer 3 content in the future. Thank you for watching.